Lewis Hart for The Ring magazine. Delighted today to be joined here in Derby, in David Lloyd Derby with Sam Jones. First time on Ring magazine, Sam. Good to see you. Good to be speaking to you. How's things?
Yeah, really good. You've, I can't believe it's our first. We've interviewed before.
Yeah, of course.
It's not on this channel. Yeah.
As I say,
first one on the Ring. Yeah.
First time ever in a David Lloyd, and first time in Derby as well for myself.
It's the first time you've ever been in a David Lloyd.
Yeah, I've never. There's not one near me, mate.
Okay. Where are you from?
I'm from Medway. So
okay. I don't even know where that is.
That's like Chatham, like
okay.
So around
it's
there.
It's actually a really good one. I know people laugh, but it's all getting refurbed, like a big spa and stuff. But no, it's a really good facility. David Lloyd Derby. Shout out
as always, mate.
David Lloyd,
big up around the country. How's things? I guess obviously busy, stable. Got a lot of fighters out coming soon. Fighters signing with promotional deals. But how have you enjoyed? I guess the start to 2025, almost about 6 months in with the Sam Jones stable. All been good, would you say?
It's been like a bit of a mixed thing because like you had your disappointment with Jack and Barboza. He got edged out on points. That was a disappointing. But Conor Walker winning the British title and Commonwealth title in January. That was one of the best nights I've had in boxing. That was because of the way how dramatic it was. But you had Cameron beating Jordan Flynn, Pat Brown making his debut. But it's been a very up and down, up. It's boxing, isn't it? That's what it is, isn't it? Up and down.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, is it not ever hard as a manager, but for yourself, like, when you do get a good win, it's not too long before the next one's coming along, so you don't really get to enjoy it as much in a sense, would you say? You
do. I do enjoy them because in boxing you have to enjoy your highs because there's lows as well. So like you have to make sure you enjoy the good ones because you put a lot of time into these fighters and to make the fights, and so you have to enjoy it when you get a big win.
Absolutely. I guess we'll firstly touch on big news yesterday. Adam Maca signing with Matchroom. Someone I've had my eye on for quite a while. If anyone that's been around the circuit, they know how good this guy is. Now promotion deal and professional debut in New York as well. You must be delighted to get this over the line. I'm sure it was many options on the table.
Well, this is the thing. I get accused of like blowing fighters up, saying they're going to be like Adam Maca's a generational talent. I really believe that. Like, and he comes to excite. Like his style, even in the amateurs, he was knocking people out with big gloves on, head guards on. So it shows the type of fighter he is. He's going to draw a crowd. He's going to sell a ticket. What the Albanians are like. They're going to come out and support. But he's born in Brighton, so he's going to have a number of communities support him. It's going to be big.
As a manager, how do you manoeuvre someone who's obviously talented, but they don't have that senior amateur experience? Like they're not like they wouldn't have gone like not the GB route, but I mean like the senior GB route, etc. So as a manager, how would you manage someone like that where they're talented, but they also get that experience in as well with like no head guards and the 8-ounce gloves, etc.
Adam's going to need time to develop as a pro, but people are going to want to see him move quickly because of the style he's going to bring. Like he's very heavy-handed. Like you can see that in the amateurs, what he did to people in the amateurs. So he's going to bring a fantastic style to the pros.
Does it make it easier or difficult to manage someone like that, where there's going to be a demand to say, like, let's say after sort of the five or six pro fights, people want to see him get chucked in there, whether let's say it all goes well. Does it make it easier and difficult because he's still so young, like he's like 17? So
it does, because again, when he starts starting people, it's going to be hard to match him. Do you understand? It's on the shorter rounds. It's when you get to like the 10-round stage, it becomes easier. But no one wants to fight these kids over 4 and 6 rounders. But no, we're going to do a number of 4 rounders just to get him used to the small gloves. But you'll see from the first bell in New York what this kid's all about.
Definitely. Wanted to move on to obviously your man Jack Catteral. Pending in for a summer return. It looked, obviously put out a tweet yesterday saying 147. So that is where the future you'd say would be at welterweight for Jack?
I believe so, yes, because look, if you look at the welterweight division now, you've got Rowley, Ryan Garcia, Teofimo Lopez. Well, Lopez is going to be moving up. They're all essentially 140s blown up. I mean, you've got Boots, who's a huge welterweight, but other than that, they're all kind of really 140 fighters. There's some big fights for Jack in the welterweight division, but Jack can still make 140, so there's going to be options in two weights. Yeah,
that's what I was going to say. I guess let's say 147 was a target. How long do you think it would need before he pushes back to worlds on again? Do you know?
I think with the next fight he's going to have, it's It's going to be a good fight. People are going to love the fight. They're going to support the fight. So I think he comes through that the way we believe he should come through that. He's going to be positioned right back in for a massive fight. But the option is for Jack. The whole point for Jack is to still win a world title, but also be involved in fights that the fans are going to look like. We don't want to just have he could have had a 10-round comeback against somebody that Jack wants to be involved in fights that the fans want to see.
Yeah, because there's already been a lot of talk about the Hart and Eubank fight. Is that the number one option for yourself, would you say? That's
a fight that's on the table at the moment. It's not done yet, but it's a fight that, listen, that fight originally came about with Jamie Conlon ringing me saying, because I wanted Conor Walker to fight Conor Eubank. So when he said Jack Catteral, honestly, I almost spat my drink out and I thought, is he on? He's on. I don't know what he's on here, but. And then I thought about it. I thought, do you know what? Harlem's on a good run of fight. He's 21. Is he 21 now? He's had some good audiences on Channel 5. Why not? Jack's not going to shirk a challenge. So there's a lot more pressure on Jack, though, in my opinion, in this fight because of the level Jack's boxed at. Do you know what I mean? He's coming off a win against Tyrone McKenna. Jack's been boxing at world level for a number of years now. So it's the pressure's always going to be on Harlem if the fight gets made because of his surname alone, but also with Jack at the level he's boxed at and wants to continue boxing at.
When Jack would have watched the Times Square show and would have watched Barboza Jr.'s performance against T.O. or the other fights, do you think he'd have been kicking himself?
Yeah, he was kicking himself after the fight. He didn't need to wait for the show. He was kicking himself after the fight because, look, the fight against Barboza, I still believe Jack won the fight, but you can't moan about a decision that goes either way in that fight because it wasn't a great fight and Barboza was pipping him here and there, but ultimately Jack just didn't do quite enough in that fight. But he's very aware of that. Jack's his biggest critic. You don't need to get out the ring and say to Jack, Jack knows what he should have done in that fight. And I think people will be surprised how he'll approach the next fight.
Yeah, I was going to say, is there not pressure on Jack, but he doesn't want to be, forgetting the first Josh Taylor fight, like everyone knows sort of the controversy around that, but Jack doesn't ever want to be remembered as like a nearly man in a sense. Is it hard?
Of course not. But you have to remember, look, Jack boxed a world title fight against Josh Taylor. He won, right? He won the fight. Everyone knows that he won that fight, and he got pipped against Barboza. So I would say he's been unlucky so far. He's not really had the rub of the green, Jack, in the big moments. But ultimately, you have to take some responsibility himself, where he could have, the Barboza fight, he could have made it a lot easier for himself. But it is what it is. The next fight, Jack will approach the fight very differently.
Yeah. Just on your stable as well, obviously news come out this week, as per the Ring magazine, Ben Davison now linking up with Cameron Vuong, leaving Jamie Moore. I guess what led to the decision for Cameron to move down south in a sense?
You know what, it's something that I want Cameron can speak about.
Okay.
It's because, listen, I'm very good friends with Jamie Moore, but get on really well with Ben, but it's a situation that Cameron will speak about when you speak to him, when you speak to him. But look, I'm Cameron's manager, so I have to work for Cameron. Does that make sense?
Of course,
of course it's difficult, but fighters get one career. If that's what Cameron thinks he needs, then that's what he had to do.
Yeah, busy month in June as well for yourself. Obviously, Pat Brown, Hamza Uddin, Dan Howard, and Conor Walker. All out. I don't think I've forgot anyone there.
You've got Dan Howard in the first week of June. The week after that, you've got Adam Maca in New York. The week after that, you've got the Birmingham show, and then I'm going to be doing some work on the microphone in the show in Ireland for GBM.
Okay.
So, back to back.
But I guess touching on the Birmingham show as well, good to have obviously 3 fighters out, and the first away day for Pat Brown too.
Yeah, really good for Pat. He made a great impact in his first fight. He boxed a ridiculously tough Argentinian in his first fight. And yes, his first away day, he'll sell a lot of tickets in Birmingham. It's a great show, isn't it? It's a really, really good show. So looking forward to that.
To talk about the Eubank Jr. Ben potential rematch. There's been a lot of talk about, and at the moment we're still not sure what's going on. I know they spoke about a September date and whatnot. From where you stand, Sam, and let's say rematch is 160 with the rehydration clause. Is that a concern? Because Hearn seemed to sort of, I asked Hearn about it midweek, and he shut it down and said, look, he thinks that Eubank could do it fine. Like,
this is what I mean.
Yeah.
Eubank, it's hard for me to, because I keep getting, Eubank's he's a middleweight. He's boxed his majority of his career at middleweight. Of course, it's hard for him to make. It's hard for Jack to make 140. It doesn't, listen, the rehydration clause, as you say, he came with a big...
Yeah, that's what Eddie was saying.
A big LV jacket on. So he clearly made the rehydration clause weight fine the next day. The hardest part for Eubank is the actual weight of 160. But look, they've signed the contract. I'm sure that team suggested the weight. Because remember, Eubank is the A side in that fight. It's Eubank Ben. So that's a question for them. But there comes a time where you have to think, is it fair on Conor Benn? Like Conor Benn is, you saw the difference in there. It's not an exaggeration. He was small in there against Eubank. So the fact he was able to, never mind, be unbelievably competitive in that fight, where some people had him winning. Like, forget what I say anyway. Oscar De La Hoya, Usyk, they are credible people in boxing that think he won the fight. So it comes a point where it's like, all right, all this about Chris Eubank, what about Conor Benn? So, but ultimately, the rematch is going to happen because there's too much money on the table for it not to happen.
Do you think it might sound like a silly question, but do you think it's a bigger fight in the rematch? Because
yes.
But then when you have all the connotation with the first fight with Eubank, like the iconic moments that caused, do you think that?
No, it's going to be bigger the second time around, because you'd imagine Chris Eubank Senior is going to have a part of that in the build-up of the second one. So the promotion was unbelievable, right? Eubank was unbelievable in the build-up, for sure. He was fantastic, very articulate, he's brilliant, he knows how to sell a fight. But he's going to have his dad with him this time, which will make the fight even bigger. So, yeah.
I did want to actually, because Chris Eubank Jr. went on the Diary CEO podcast, and there was a few things he did say in there. He spoke about going to hospital after, and he spoke about sort of the concerns that he had there, and obviously a lot of that could have been he spoke about the dehydration of 160 on the weight. So with that being said as well, I know you said about the whole things with Conor Benn, but when you do hear Eubank making them comments,
yeah, for sure, but ultimately it was a tough fight as well.
Yeah, of course.
That's something to do with it, like the fact that he shipped a lot of punishment in that fight. Never mind, like it was a tough fight for Eubank. That was, he got hurt way more than Conor got hurt in that fight. Eubank finished the stronger of the two, for sure, because of his experience, and he kind of old man Conor in the last 2 rounds. But pound for pound, Conor landed the bigger shots on Eubank. I know Eubank, the punch stat said he landed more, but if you watch the shots where he jolted Eubank, he shipped a lot. He copped a lot more stick than Conor did in that fight. You only got to look at the two faces when they come out the ring. Conor's fine, like Conor's absolutely fine, and Eubank's unfortunately was in hospital for a number of days, which no one wants to ever hear. So yeah.
Another thing that got brought up, Stephen Bartlett brought up the relationship between Eubank Jr. and Frank Smith.
Yeah.
And it's safe to say Eubank didn't really hold back on it. I guess, what do you make of the comments from Eubank to speak publicly about what is, I guess, a family matter?
It's hard to kind of weigh in on it, to be honest with you, because again, when family's involved, you kind of want to, it's not really a place. But when he called them scumbags, and Frank Smith's a scumbag. Like, out of all the people I deal with in boxing, right, Frank Smith is undoubtedly the tightest. He's as tight as a duck's arse. He really is, Frank. Very, very tight. However, he's undoubtedly one of, if not the straightest person I deal with in boxing. And I've done this for nearly 10 years, for sure. Really hard to get money out of. You have to, believe me, really hard to get money out of. But when you do and the deal's done, he's never not delivered to any of the fighters I represent or myself, gone back on anything he's ever said and not delivered what he said. So tight, absolutely, tightest man I've ever met in my life. But when it comes to straight down the line and honest to deal with, he's right up there, if not the best.
That's fair enough. Before I let you go, Sam, looked like Pacquiao will be returning against Mario Barrios on July 19th. What are your thoughts on the return, I guess, of Pacquiao, especially after 4 years, but also when you consider him getting a world title shot straight away after 4 years out? I know he's got a big name, but
it's disappointing because, do you know when, for example, like, do you know you've got I'll use Jack as an example. You pay your WBO sanctioning fees for years and years and years and years, right? And you eventually want to pay those sanction fees to get a world title fight, right? And then you have to pay your 3% when you get your world title fight, win, lose or draw. All these kids in the WBC, in the top 5, whatever, that are looking towards getting a world title fight in the WBC, a Manny Pacquiao who's, let's be honest, looked a shell of his former self in his exhibitions, is going to have 46 years old, 4-year layoff, and he's going straight into a world title fight. It kind of shits on the fighters that have paid their sanction fees for years. So I don't agree with it. But the game's the game.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, must just like, if you're, let's say you're a contender at 147 for the W, it's a bit of a slap in the face, would you say? In a sense.
It's just, like I say, it shits on what they've done. Yeah. Like for you pay your sanction fees to get a world title fight, and then Manny Pacquiao 4 years out of the ring. It's not his fault, by the way. It's not Manny Pacquiao's fault, by the way. It's not his. He doesn't make the rules. I just think there's got to be some parliamentary procedure in the WBC.
Rightly so. Sam, appreciate you taking time to speak. Good to have you on.
Appreciate that.
Appreciate letting me come down to Derby today. Nice for my first time here. But yeah, no, appreciate it. And as I say, all the best in June, which is obviously going to be a busy month for you. So yeah, appreciate it, mate.
And July.
And July, of course, mate. It's always busy. There's no rest in the world of boxing, mate. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Top man.